Right, Sunday afternoon. I've got some help here, so I can get a few hours on the old Range Rover. Blue sky, it's not pissing with rain for a change. Don't know how long that's going to last. Right, so I've already changed the coolant sensor on the middle of the V. What a ball ache that was. Ended up taking the top coolant pipe off, which I was going to do anyway, because as you can see, I've sorted out all the hose clips that were oversized. You probably can't see it actually, but that wiring isn't great to the coolant sensor, so I am still umming and ahhing whether to buy a new loom, take it all apart, repair it if needs be, and then tape it all up again. I'm not sure. Other plan is to sort this fan cowling out in a minute as well, but I've also got my spark plug. It's a HT lead. I'm just going to stick some coolant in it, and then I'll do the HT leads and spark plugs to get them done, and then I'll have a go at the fan cowling. And I've also got the door trim clips as well, because that is really pissing me off, struggling to get opening the door. So yeah, should be able to get a few jobs out of the way today. Can't remember if I mentioned in the last video, possibly not. Anyway, I can start this from cold and it'll idle, but you can't put your foot on the accelerator, it just dies. Until it's warmed up, runs sweet as a nut, which is why I kind of thought it might be the temperature sensor, but I don't know, it might be, it might not, we'll find out in a minute. Right, so it's all going to plan. Putting new HT leads on as I go, so I know what I've done and what I haven't. Now there's the spark plugs. One on the left is number 2, one in the middle is number 4. Let me get it focused. That one on the end, number 6. They all look a bit grotty, to be fair. In fact, they're fucking odd spark plugs, aren't they? Or is that? Yeah, they're fucking old spark plugs. Just clock that, because that's got knurling around the base. So that's a Champion, that's an NGK, and the electrodes loose on it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh well, maybe that is the source of the misfire then. I shall keep you updated. Right, something else to report. I've just gone to, I think it's number 246, yes, be number 8, last bank on the offside. Fucking look at the gap on that. As you can see, this is escalated very badly. So I ended up putting a new set of spark plugs in. I think it was last episode. HT leads, dizzy cap, rotor arm, done everything, and it still wouldn't start from cold. Anyway, I put an inline fuel gauge, and I was a little bit worried that I couldn't hear the pump running when you turn the ignition key. Anyway, turns out it was running, but I was only getting 30 psi fuel pressure. Now, I've seen online that it needs to be at least 36, otherwise it causes running issues. So anyway, I've checked all the wiring to the pump, so the only other issue can be either fuel filter or the fuel pump. Now, it's got a brand new fuel filter on it, so it can't be that. So it's got to be the pump. Now, I've got a receipt for the pump from way back in, I think it's late 90s, so it's been in there a while, and as you can see, you know, it's very crusted up. So I've got a new fuel pump, got a new gasket to go with it. I'm hoping I can get those screws and bolts out the top. And I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm not taking the boot floor out, I'm going to cut access hole, and I've got another section like that but slightly bigger that I'm going to rivet up around the outside. Except I got the measurements slightly wrong, although I can get it out, so it's not an issue. But yeah, so I am going to put the full measurements of where to cut the hole if anyone else wants to put an access panel rather than take the boot floor fucking out. So I'll put that in a still in a minute, probably, with the measurements. So yeah, that's where we are. I'm just going through a few other bits and pieces. So I need, I've got the handle, but I haven't got the toolkit and I haven't got the jack, so I need to source one of them. That tyre, although it's quite good nick, flat as a fart, so I don't know whether I'm going to put an inner tube in it or I might have a spare half decent tyre to put on that. Still haven't sourced the rear light guards, and I need to do something to those holes. Still haven't sorted out the issue with that door not opening, mainly because Dad's ended up getting shingles this last week, so I've been here, there and everywhere trying to sort that out and looking after him because he's in a lot of pain. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. I wasn't going to take the boot floor out. In hindsight, it was probably easier to drill the fucking rivets out, but I thought, you know what, I've always wanted one of these oscillating tools, so I thought, you know what, it's a good chance for me to buy one. Best thing ever. Obviously, because all my gear's Milwaukee anyway, so I had to get a Milwaukee one. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. So I'm hoping to get the rest of this done. I'm packing up now, so I'm hoping to get the rest of this done probably Thursday. It's now Wednesday afternoon. Dad's been out with me, he's had a little wander, so I've just got to take him back in, get him settled, and then I'm going to pack up. So this is probably end for the first section of episode 4. So I shall catch you on the flip side. Right, so second part of episode 4. Saturday afternoon, not a cloud in, well, I say not a cloud in the sky, there's some nice cloud over there, but yeah, lovely day out. It's quite warm actually. Makes a change not to be pissing with rain. So I'm going to attempt to get this fuel pump out. I've put loads of penetrating oil on the screws, so I'm hoping they're going to come out. I've managed to get the Jubilee clips undone, and that's another thing that pisses me off. Fucking using Jubilee clips on fuel holes rather than proper petrol clamps. So I'm going to replace them. Pipe doesn't look too bad. I don't really want to touch it too much because I don't want to disturb it, but I've already made the one cock up of today. So I've gone to unplug, see if I can get right in there. I've gone to unplug the connector, and I didn't realise, but let's see if I can get you right in there. So fucking cable on the back of that's just come off, and I'm assuming that's for the fuel pump. So although that was giving the right voltage, it's obviously shagged. Now I'll get right in there. They're aftermarket connectors on there as well, on the sender unit, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I don't know whether there's another earth wire around somewhere that they've connected that to, but I don't know. I don't know whether they've piggybacked it off the sender or what, but you know, you look at the size of the cable for that fuel pump, I would have thought it's at least, I don't know, 4-5 mil core cable. That is not going to cut it. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I need to have a bit of a sort out. Oh, I'll tell you what else I've just seen as well. Look at this. That's the nut for the shock absorber strut. Why is he put? There's supposed to be a big washer on that, not a little one. And there's what, a good 1/4 inch of thread. Not even touching that. So it's fully seated. pretty sure there's supposed to be a bolt that goes right over the top. Is that? No, that's not a bolt. That's not a washer. That is the bush, that is. Let's go and have a look at the other side and see what that one's like. The more I look at this motor, the more bodges I'm seeing. What's that one like? Fuck me, that one's the same as well. Jesus Christ. Yeah, makes me wonder if... Oh, I don't know. Just makes me wonder if whoever had this before me just didn't have a clue. So yeah, the plan is today, get the fuel pump out. I'm gonna have to repair that wiring now as well, so I don't know whether I'll have it running today. There's a 3-pin connector for... See, I've got a spare connector. That's for the lights. So that's a 3-pin with 2 half moons in it. Let's have a look. What's that one? Right, okay. So the half moons are on the top section. Right, so what I'm going to do, I think, I'm going to cut that off. Give me a good amount of tails so I can solder the new wire on. And then I've got to try and have a look and see what's going on with that wiring up there. So yeah, wish me luck with that. Right, so I managed to get the fuel pump out without too much hassle. I think they're M5s or M6 screws. They came out with the impact gun without too much faffing around. I'm actually presently surprised because I was expecting to see that completely gummed up. I mean, there's a lot of shit in there anyway. Bit of corrosion, bit of... Oh, fucking hell. I've got to cut my finger, that fucking ass. Oh! Yeah, I've got a new gasket to go on there. They've used a rubber one. I don't really want to be reusing that. I've got a cork one to go on, so that's not a problem. Yeah. Oh, I did wonder what that was. Yeah, so I'm assuming, let's grab this a minute. I'm assuming all these fuel pumps are the same. Looks the same. Yeah, looks identical, so that's good. I haven't got that rubber, that cork gasket in. It's indoors, so I need to go and get that in a minute. So yeah, the plan is I'm going to put that straight in, get that back in again. I mean, there's a bit of crud. I don't know where you can see it. There's a bit of crud in the bowl there, but it's not rust, I don't think, which is good, because I was a little bit worried looking at that tank. That doesn't look like it's been changed recently, even though I've got a receipt for the tank, so it's a little bit worrying. But internally it looks fine, so yeah, I think it has been changed. I know that pipe hasn't, but I'm going to replace the rubber hose on that, so that's not a problem. Right, what was I going to do? Right, I've got to go and get that cork gasket, and then I'll get that pump back in. Right, that's the new cork gasket I bought. That cost me £7.50 delivered, and it's only, what, 3mm cork gasket. So I've taken a copy of that on the computer, so I'm going to knock the tooling up. If anyone needs any of them, I'll link the part number in the description, so I'll probably be doing them in the next couple of weeks as well, because I can get cork gasket paper in rolls. I think they're 5 metre rolls, something like that. So yeah, I'm going to get the tooling made up for them and start knocking them out. Right, and also for reference, that piece of fuel hose in between there is 2.5 inches long, and you want 2 metal hose clips which are 13 to 15 mil. Ideally these ones are not the fucking Jubilee clips, because at least they fully clamp up, rather than the Jubilee clips, which, you know, are a bit Gymkhano. So right, and there we have it. One fuel pump fitted, bolted in, new section of fuel hose with some new clips. I need to have a look at some OE diagrams or a video to find out whether the wiring to the pump goes that side or that side. Looking at that, with it pointing that way, I think that's going at what, 5 o'clock. So yeah, it does make me wonder if the wiring goes to that side of the chassis and not that way. Like I say, looking through the receipts that I've got, this had a tank and a fuel pump, but it's had multiple issues with the fuel pump and rough running. So I think what someone's done, they've bodged that fuel line, bodged the fuel wiring, and wired the pump up to the sender unit. And I think what's happened, the wiring to the pump's burnt out, and rather than running a new fresh wire down the inside of the vehicle, they've split into the sender unit, which is, you know, that gauge cable's not big enough for a fuel pump running all the time. So no wonder it's had fucking running issues. Yeah, so that's fitted now. That's the job I wanted to get done, but now I've got to try and locate this fuel pump wiring and see which side of the car it goes. Christ, I'm getting too old for this. Well, that's another job on the list. I've got the new wiring for that. I don't know where that goes, probably through the vehicle, I think. I'm going to get rid of that. I might splice that off, depending on where that's attached inside the vehicle. I'm going to have a look at that and see how they've done it, whether they've scotch locked it or just tied them together or whatever. In fact, no, I lie, it goes up through the side there, so it's going to go in through the spare wheel hole. That's looking like the wiring for the fuel pump and the fuel sender and everything else. So yeah, I'm going to take all that sheath off in a minute and have a look at that. I've just found something else. Everywhere I look now, I'm just fucking finding shit. Really? Fucking washers for the bottom shocks are on the wrong way around as well. And we'll get back in. So yeah, they've got to be done both sides. Yay! So if I'm doing that, I think I'll probably get a polybush kit, because I think they come with new washers, so I'll get that, and I'll change them at some point. Just noticed this tank hasn't got a drain on it. Normally there's a drain in there. Maybe it's because aftermarket or something, I don't know. Yeah, I've changed one of them before on the old man's Discovery when it failed the MOT. What a minge they are. I ended up cutting off the two main bolts, and then once I cut them off, I had to drill them out because I couldn't get them through the bracket. It was an absolute faff. Yeah, I don't envy anyone having to do A-frame bushes. Yeah, I don't really want to stay underneath her in case I find any other stuff that I don't really want to find. So yeah, right, I'm going to have a look at this wiring and see what the situation is. Do you know what? That's the original white and purple wire to the fuel pump. I can't see how that was taking battery voltage. I really can't. And I'm even more shocked that it's the original wire. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut that off there in a minute, see if I can get a decent bit of wire, because I don't know whether that had a split in it and it's just taken the out a couple of strands, or whether that cable's burnt out completely. If that's the case, I'm going to run a whole new cable down. But yeah, I'm going to chop that off there, check to see if it's decent copper. If it's decent copper, then I'll splice it in between, and yeah, I'll fire it up and then see where we go. But I think that'll be it for today. Like I say, the old man's just got over shingles, so I can't really be out here too long today. I'm just gonna bodge this wire. Well, I say bodge. I'm just gonna temporary fix it together, fire it up, see what it's like. If it's good to go, I'm gonna have to find a connector. Oh Christ, I might buy a different connector set, cut the other connector off the other one. In fact, I might cut this wire off, splice this one, and see if I can get another connector like that and run it further down the chassis rail rather than struggle trying to do it through the wheel arch. But that's a job for another day. I'll have to write that down and all of that bits and pieces up. Right. So I very crudely connected the fuel pump wire to the new loom, which I've connected two looms together, so I've got a bit of reach on it, just as a temporary measure. I know it don't look pretty, but it ain't going to stay like this. That was the section of fuel pump wire I took off. Now that's not great, so I'm gonna break into the section underneath the seat at some point and see what that's like, see if that's burnt out. If that's burnt out as well, I'll replace the loom right the way back from the relay by the ECU. I mean, it's Christ, it's 40 years old, so it's entitled to be a little bit shitty. But I think because obviously me, the previous owner, probably other garages have been turning it over on the key, it's probably burnt the loom out anyway. So yeah, this wiring's all done. I'm gonna pop the bonnet, make sure the battery's all right, and then yeah, I'll grab the key and then we'll try and fire her up, see what fuel pressure we're getting. Right, as you can see, got the new HT leads on, new dizzy cap, rotor arm, spark plugs. That's the inline fuel pressure gauge that I put in, just temporary. It's not fully committed yet. I might move it to a different place yet, I don't know. It's just purely to see what the fuel pressure was reading. So let's see how this goes. Right, so that's the old ECU, that's the new one I got for a bargain price of, I think it was 48 quid delivered. Right, that's in. Let's see if anything happens. That'll be a no then. What's the fuel pressure reading? Still reading 30 psi. Right, that's not great. We got any leaks? No, got no leaks. That's good then. I'm wondering if it's the wiring that's burnt out, and it's not. Even though it's giving 12 volts, it's not man enough. It's not thick enough. I don't know. I'll put another voltmeter on it in a minute and check, see if the voltage is going through. Yeah, I don't know really. That earth is still on there, so that will be the wire that I'm going to be chasing back. That yellow, yellow, what am I talking about? That white and purple, that's the one that goes to the fuel pump. So in fact, I might bridge that a minute and see if the pump goes, because I didn't. Actually, I'll tell you what. So the weird thing is, you look at that, that's getting still only getting 30 psi. So is that right? So that's on 30 psi. That's going right up to 36. When the airflow meter's open, that's getting full fuel pressure. So right, let me check the fuel fuel pressure voltage on that wire a minute, and I'll get back to you. Right, so I've wedged the AFM open. Battery voltage is 12.6. I measured that relay. The wire into that is 11.6. I measured the wiring on the connector that I put in. That's only 10.3. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think the fuel pump's getting enough pressure. No, sorry, I don't think the fuel pump's getting enough voltage. So might just grab another battery, wire the fuel pump direct, and see if that works. And also I'm going to bypass that first, and then I'll see what happens.